week. This is George from Upfish, your marketing automation expert. In today's automation, I'm going to show you how to scrape Indeed for jobs and then to basically get in contact with the companies who are posting those jobs with personalized outreach messages. So the obvious use case for this is for headhunters. So if you're, let's just say that you work for DevOps headhunters, you'll be to search for DevOps jobs in a certain location, get in touch with the people, put forward your own candidates. But obviously that's of very little interest to me because I'm not a headhunter. So I've adjusted it slightly to be more of an outbound campaign for finding new clients for any kind of company you have. So the way it's going to work is we're going to have some RSS feeds from Indeed for keywords. We're going to get that information, find out who the company are. Based on that, based on what we do and what the company does, we're going to craft some icebreakers and some email copy. We'll find out, the people who we want to contact in that company and enroll them in an email sequence. So to get started, the first thing we need to do actually is to work out how Indeed works. So here we have Indeed. Obviously, I'm based in Portugal, so I'm going to have less results if I was searching for someone in London, but it doesn't matter. So let's just say that I'm looking for clients for my company. I might search for, any job posting that has Airtable. So here we have performance marketing specialist, sales executive, social media coordinator. I'm not interested in any of these jobs, but the fact of the matter is these are companies who are hiring and they use Airtable. So it might be interesting for me to reach out and say, hey, do you want to talk? Maybe there's something else I can help with as a fraction automation officer. So in order to use this URL, basically you'll see here pt.indeed.com/jobs. Again, if you're based in the UK, it might be uk.indeed.com or US, I'm not sure. But all you want to do is you want to change the jobs to RSS. So if I do that, we have the RSS feed. So I can copy and paste it and I can put it in my campaign. So again, long-time viewers of this channel will know we've got various Airtables running at any one time. One of them is our campaign manager that we use to track Apollo campaigns or LinkedIn campaigns. We can also use it now for Indeed. So I'll give it a name. This is called Airtable Portugal. And the search field, I put in that RSS feed, I mark it as active. And then for the type, I've introduced a new type here for Indeed. So this way, when I run the automation, it's not getting stuff from Apollo, it's not getting stuff from LinkedIn. It's really just the Indeed I need. So I've also set up a new view here, active Indeed, where the filter is active and the type is Indeed. So we see here, I have my Airtable Portugal search. I'll click on it. And again, we have all of the results. So now that I have that working up, I can start making the automation. So the first thing is the Airtable. So again, with all of the outbound automations, and typically all of my automations, usually starts with a search of Airtable records, just so that we can get the things we want. In this case, however often we run this automation, such as say every week or every day or every hour, we want it to be looking for active campaigns. So we'll come to our new CRM, as I've called it, and then I will look for the table of campaigns. And the person view is active Indeed. All right, so I'll press OK. If I run this module only, we see we have the results of the search field. So this is the RSS. So the next stage, funnily enough, is an RSS feeder. So we'll put it in, retrieve the RSS items, we'll put in the URL as this one here. And just for the purpose of this example, I'm just going to limit it to one because while I'm doing the example for you people, I don't use up all of my... I have enough operations to do as many of this as I want, but let's be sensible. I'll keep it at one for now. When you do this, you might want to have it at 20, 30, 40, 50. So again, if I run this once to see what happens, we now have the first job result we saw. So if I come back here, I change RSS back to jobs. First one we have here is a performance marketing specialist at some company called Coverflex. So if I come back to here, performance marketing specialist at Coverflex. We have a little description, we have a summary, we have a URL which takes us to the job. So if I just copy and paste that in quickly, this is the job description, okay? And we can already see here, you know what, I'm going to change this to run for maybe 3 results actually. Go back on my word because I want to demonstrate something here. So here we have the name of the company, Coverflex. Here we have the name of the company, $1 Million Sellers. Here we have the name of the company, Paradox. So what we've noticed here is the company name always pretty much follows a BR and then de. In my case, de, because I'm in Portugal, so de just means from. So if you're running this in the English language, this will probably say from. If you're running it in French, probably de. I don't know any other languages actually, so whatever. I think you understand whatever language you're working in, there will be a little word here meaning from, and then the BR, the break symbol. So essentially what we need to do is to get a text parser, again, this will be depending on what language you speak, to essentially find out what word is in between the last dash and the BRDE, and that will always return us CoverFlex. It will return us whoever this company is, Paradox. Okay, so the next stage is to put in a text parser. So I'm going to put in a text parser because it's important for us to have the actual name of the company. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to match a pattern, and I've already gone to get this reject, so I'm not going to bore you with it now, but it is basically this. So this is essentially, it's looking for de, it's looking for the dash, and it's basically looking for any words in between. And I want it to be case insensitive. Yes, why not? Sure. And then in terms of the text, what I'm looking for here, it's in the description. So again, I'll run this once. Let's see if it works. Okay, CoverFlex, $1 million sellers, Paradox. Great. So now I have the job description, or at least a part of the job description, and I have the name of the company. But I actually want to get more than that. I want to get the full job description. So I'm going to put in a HTTP module here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a request, and I'm going to make a request to the URL that is provided. Let's press OK. And so if I run this once again, what happens? Doop-a-doop-a-doop. We now have data. Okay, so this is the website data, what is on the page. So again, I could use a text parser to just ask it to give me relevant piece of information. But the easiest thing to do is just use the built-in function of the text parser, which is HTML to text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to put this HTML data into a text. So again, I'll run this once again. And what happens? We see here, now I have, okay, I still got this boring stuff at the top, some links and whatnot, but we can see pretty much straight away after NBSP, it starts coming in. Deep inside, you're looking for a new adventure with ... Ambition, passion, freedom. You are a master at creating videos, blah, blah, blah. So now I've got basically what it is the job is about, what it wants to do. So I have the company name and more about the job description, what they want, what their aims are. Okay, so now that I've got all of that, the next thing to do is the actual important part, which is to use OpenAI to sort through that information to figure out if it's something I should be interested in or not. So the first versions of this, I was using an assistant. I created an assistant and I uploaded a CSV file. And that CSV file was essentially all of the customers I've ever had, because as part of my offboarding process, once I finish a project, in the Airtable, I just write a short description of what I did. So for example, I set up an N8N water flow for a customer so they could, generate 10,000 emails a day or whatever. It went well. Just a little description for me. The benefit of this is with the assistant, it will be able to look at these companies, the industries they work in, and the job I did. And then hopefully we'll be able to look at this job information and try and make matches. Problem is, it doesn't work all the time because for some weird reason, OpenAI just doesn't like CSV files. And it's not easy for me to sync that data I have into a Word. I mean, I could do it in a Word document, but it's just an effort. And not everybody has these custom assistants. I've put in a previous video how to make them. So for the sake of simplicity, we'll just use a normal GPT. We'll do create to completion. I'm just going to up the tokens to 400 for no particular reason again. Let's put it on GPT-4 Turbo. Okay, and so what are we doing? First off, we need to basically tell the GPT what it is we want him to do, which is basically that I am an automation agency. My name is George. I run an automation agency. I'll probably speed this up in the edit, but I need to think about what I'm going to write here. I run an automation agency that helps companies to automate large parts of their marketing and sales operations. Okay, I will supply you with a job description and I want you to assess the needs of the job with my skills. Note, I am not, I'm going to put this in capitals, I am not applying for the job. Rather, I am taking the fact they are expanding their headcount to mean that they might be interested in talking to me about other services related to marketing and automation that will make them more efficient. Okay, what else do I want to put in there? So after they analyze the job description, I want it to basically go through 4 steps. One, I want to decide if this job is worth, decide if this company is worth contacting based on that info. Right, go ahead if it's a good match, or don't bother if it's not. 2, if it's a go ahead, then give me a justification for it. So as you've seen in my previous videos using assistants, I always ask for a justification. Whenever I ask it, give me social media copy, or suggest a task for me to do this week, or give me a project, or change a learning copy. I always ask it, after I ask it for the information, I always ask for a justification, as deep as it can go. 2 reasons. One is that if something goes wrong, I can look through those justification logs and figure out, all right, do I need to change my instructions, the data I'm giving it? And 2, it just seems to give better results. If it knows it has to tell me, maybe I'm just imagining this, it could be some confirmation bias, but it feels like if it knows it has to tell me explicitly why it's doing something, it arrives to a better decision somehow. Again, I'm probably just making that up. But essentially, yes, if it's a go ahead, give me a justification for it. 3, I also need an introductory part. I'll call it an icebreaker. I need an icebreaker for the email explaining why they should be interested in talking to me. What else? Also writes an outro to the email with the relevant CTAs. And one of my relevant CTAs will probably be my YouTube link and my YouTube link and my calendar appointment link. And what is my YouTube link? My YouTube link is, calendar link is this. Okay, so I have some basic informations. All right, so now I need to give it some more information about what I do. So what it's going to do is it's going to look at the job title, and obviously on its own it might look at, this is a role for DevOps, and it'll be like, I don't know if George does DevOps. My assistant knows, but not this one. So what we have to do is we'll put in some example client projects. All right, I think I prepared something here. I'll just copy and paste. So I put in some example client projects, so some automations I've built. What else might I want to put in there? I might want to put in some skills I have, I guess, as well. Also, having done a test run of this before, I think it's also a point to put in a note that I'm not applying for a job. Rather, I'm noticing they're expanding their headcount, which is just a desire to growth or a strategic shift in operations. As such, there might be space for the work for them as a fractional automator. And then in terms of the output of what I want, the output I want is a JSON go ahead, and then following that, go ahead or don't bother, justification, insert a reason, icebreaker, insert copy, email sign off, insert copy. Never deviate from this JSON. Again, this is something if you see my videos, I put this at the end of every single time I ask for a JSON from ChatGPT, because I just do not trust it. Is there anything else I'm missing here? I guess I haven't yet told it what skills I have. Yeah, okay. My general skills: building automations for marketing and sales that 10x output while reducing manual effort, using custom GPTs to build a virtual C-suite. And what else do I do? Not much. Strategic advice on automation journeys. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just an example. Okay, so I've got the basic instructions of what I want. It's also good to put in some example outputs. So what's the easiest way to do this? I'm probably getting towards the end of what I can have here. So, okay, this one Oops, I haven't changed it. So here's a little tip. If you think you're going to get to the end, there's a certain amount of text you can have in a message content, and I want to put in the text from this HTML stuff. It's going to be quite long. I don't want to put it in case I run over the limit. I'm not sure what the limit is these days. It's always changing. It's probably going to be fine, but if it's not the case, then we just add in another message after it, and then it turns it into like a thread. So what I want to do is put in an example output, which means probably having an example input. So, all right, let's change this to input that I get from the job descriptions, and then I'll add in an example output. So this just lets it know, because again, I have a lot of problems with the JSON stuff, but this just lets it know this is what I do. And then obviously I need to actually map the information. So the user is the title of the job description and the text from this text parser. So it's going to give it something to generate. I'm still not quite happy with this. I'm going to add in some more skills. I am skilled at make.com, Zapier, N8N, HubSpot, and Airtable. I use these to create marketing and sales. I'll add in OpenAI here as well. OpenAI and Airtable. I use these to create marketing and sales automations that take the heavy lifting away from the creatives on any team. Okay, great. All right, so let's just run this once, see what happens. We search for the information, we get the RSS feed, we get the name of the company, we get the HTTP request, we get the text information from the whole job description, and now ChatGPT should be hopefully creating some nice information, a nice email combination for me. Okay, so here we go. Result number 1. This is result. Go ahead. Why? Because CoverFlex is actively exploring various growth tech stacks and seems to prioritize data-driven decision-making, which aligns well with your skills in automating marketing sales processes. So how'd the email go? Greetings. I couldn't help but get intrigued by your commitment to innovation and growth as you search for a performance marketing specialist. With your emphasis on tech-driven approach, I thought a conversation on how marketing sales automation could further bolster your goals might catch your interest. To get a glimpse of the possibilities automation can unlock, I'd like to view some of my insights on my YouTube channel. Yeah, okay. Not great. So what we need to do here is maybe change the temperature a little bit. Let's have a look. Let's change it to 0.3 maybe, because it was a 1 before. So it's quite a little bit good. And we'll just change the instructions to be, again, if I was using my assistant, I could ask it to look at my email copy if this was my marketing assistant. So yeah, something to keep in mind. I'm using just the normal ChatGPT completion. If we're using an assistant, the big advantage is that we can ask it to look at files we have, although then we don't get to create these threads. So it's a bit of a trade-off. So I'll just add in here, keep the email copy short and direct, but still just a little intriguing. Use at least one question. All right, so let's see what happens. Let's see if this improves the output of what I'm writing. Okay, so we have the first operation. Let's have a look at the choices, the message, content. So it says, go ahead. Why? CoverFlex is actively seeking a specialist with a strong focus on performance marketing and growth within B2B/SaaS, indicating their value expertise in driving innovation and optimizing marketing strategies. Your experience in automating marketing sales operations align with the need, blah, 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 blah. Hi there. I cannot but notice CoverFlex's ambition in redefining compensation through innovation. As you scale up, have you considered enhancing your growth tech stack with custom automation strategies that only complement your existing tools, but also streamline your lead acquisition and lifestyle marketing? To see how automation can redefine efficiency in your marketing business, take a peek at my YouTube channel for insights. Ready to discuss how we can collaborate to supercharge your growth? Let's chat. All right. Still needs a little bit of work, a little bit of fine tuning. Normally for things like this, I would spend a good half an hour diving deep into it. But once again, I doubt how long this video is already lasting. You want to watch another half an hour of me changing these prompts. But the idea is sound, as we've seen. We've given it some information. We've given it some examples. We've given it everything that we want. We structured it as a thread. We've asked for a JSON, and we've got the information. So now we just need to convert that JSON into something actionable. So the next step is surprisingly enough, the JSON modules. We're just going to ask it to pass the JSON. What we do is we map it to the choice, the message, the content. You press OK. If you want to go a step further, you can go to choices, message, content, copy and paste this information here. Control C. Come back here, create a data structure. I'll just give it a random name. Generate, sample data, paste it in, generate. And then we see here we've got the go ahead, justification, icebreaker, email sign off, save, press OK. And so what we need to do now is actually figure out where to send this data. So what we're going to go is go to Apollo. So why are we doing that? We have the company, we have the company name, we have the job description, we have an email we're ready to send based off of all the information. We need someone to send it to. So we're going to make an API call. The reason I'm using Apollo here is because right now all the information I have is just a company name and possibly also the location. If you're looking to use Find Email or Prospeo or something like this, you typically already need a domain. You already need first name, last names, or a LinkedIn profile. Apollo is a lot more open-ended. So for all this, I'm going to use mixed people search function. So /v1/mix/people search. This is a post call, and the body is going to be this. I've already prepared this part. So what I'm looking for is an organizational name, which matches to our text parser function here, CoverFlex. Person seniorities. Okay, so in your Airtable here, you could easily add to your campaigns a column. So depending on who you're targeting, you might have a target persona, and then you'll add in, for example, I'm looking for owners or C-suites or founders or partners or VPs or heads of directors, or a mix, maybe just two of those, maybe just one of those. You could add in as well person departments. So I've got one here. I'm looking for anybody who's senior basically and works in marketing. So I have person department or sub-departments, marketing executive or master marketing. You could also add in, for example, job titles. So you could put in marketing director. So what I mentioned is, so if you're a HR company, for example, you might want to, in your Airtable, create a column, put in job titles, HR director, HR manager, VP of HR, VP people culture, all of these combinations, and then map that output. You would get it from here, from the Airtable, and make it a variable field. And then add in, so basically this is easy as just typing in job underscore titles, and then colon, and then VP people culture, for example, something like that. So that would be the syntax for this particular job titles. I don't really care about job titles because there's so many of them. I really only care about seniorities. Again, you can make a column in your Airtable for seniorities. You can make a column for person departments. And this way it will be different every single time you run a campaign. I haven't bothered with that, but it's very easy for you to do. And then here, the final part for page 2. So by default, it's going to return 10 people. The maximum is 100. I don't want to email 100 people. I don't want to email 10 people from the same company. At most, I want to email 2 from the same company. So I leave it as per page 2. So what that does is it looks for the person. Okay, the reason I'm using Apollo here is because, at least for me, it's free. So I have a legacy account from Apollo. That means I can make 600 API calls a day for free. And each API call, I can get a max of 100 people, as mentioned. But I think for newer plans, since they got acquired, that's a paid functionality. But because it's free for me, I can use a different tool after this, which will get me the email addresses. So first off, I'll use an iterator because I have 2 people in each search. So here, let's just unlink this a second. So I'm just going to run this once to show where we're at in terms of what happens with the Apollo. Okay, so we see here in the breadcrumbs, we've got the company name, the departments I want, the management level, blah, 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 blah. And it's returned 2 people. So I have 2 people within the people search, which is why I need an iterator, because I need to separate those 2 people basically into 2 lots of 1 person, if that makes sense. So that's what the iterator is for. And then from the iterator, I am going to make a request to find out what those people's names are. So for this, I'll be using Prospeo. Again, for no other reason than I was using Prospeo in another project recently, so I still have a few credits remaining. Any email tool, they're all much of a muchness. The API key, I'm not going to show you. I'll pause the video while I put in the API key, but I'll show you the rest of it. So it is body type raw, content type JSON application. I want to pass the response, and the requested content is this. I prepared this earlier. So I want the first name, I want the last name, and I want the company name, company domain, I should say, which is down here, primary domains. And what this will do is it will return me the email address. So I just add in the API key now. So I run this again. Oh, let me just stop this running. So a few things I forgot to put in here. So obviously in this JSON file, a lot of these are go ahead. For the ones that aren't go ahead, for the ones that are don't bother, I don't really want them to it does not equal to go ahead. So basically what I mean by here is I only want it to pass if it's a go ahead. If my GPT is telling me don't bother following this person, I don't need to enrich them. I don't want to waste any credit, so I add in this field. Similarly, after the email address, before they go to Airtable, I only want to send people who are validated. So here I'm going to add in response, email status contains text equal to case insensitive valid. So this double filter basically means I'm not wasting credits. I'm only searching for people who my OpenAI thinks are worth contacting, and I'm only sending people to Airtable and then an email cadence if the emails are valid. Now you might be thinking, George, what are you doing? You're just sending them straight from Prospio? Yeah, sure. Best practice would be for me to add in an email verifier after this, like Bounceless or Rion, and then set up a waterfall flow like you would have seen in my other outreach videos, whereby if it's not validated or hasn't found an email address, I set up a router here, for example, and then it will go to find email. And then if that fails, it will go to get prospect. And if that fails, it will go to Apollo. And if that fails, it goes to hunter.io. The waterfall technique is something that we've discussed in previous videos. I'm not going to bother making this one more complicated with it, but it is something to keep in mind. But the short version of it is we've got a valid email, at least according to Prospio, so I can add them to Airtable. So in my Airtable, I have another tab here of people, where I just put in people's names and where I found them from. So I'll just add it in here. It's a very basic one because I don't actually do much, if any, cold outbound myself. So your Airtable should be significantly more deeper, by which I mean it's asking for more than just the name, basically. But you map the fields as you would do for anything else. So here, the contact source is LinkedIn, or possibly, no, it's not LinkedIn, it's Indeed. Yeah, LinkedIn profile, so I'll map the profile, LinkedIn URL, email, company is organization, campaign, map. Campaign is the campaign from the Airtable ID. So what does that mean exactly? It means that if we come into our CRM, we have here campaign function. So that basically just tells us for cold email purposes what campaign they came from. So if anything pops up, I'd be like, oh, Pablo Lugo, he was from my small venture capital direct campaign, or from my Indeed Airtable Portugal campaign. And that also means in the campaign view, you can see exactly how many people have been added to a particular campaign, which is always useful as well, just to let you know how relatively successful they all are. So anyway, we'll finish off it. No meetings, nothing else. Job title is job title. Again, please add in more columns to your Airtable so you get all of the notes, because, well, let's be honest, the amount of stuff that you get from Apollo is huge. You've got the LinkedIn URL, the title, status, photo, Twitter URL, headline, email, well, not the email, that's why we use the Prospio, but still, you've got lots of employment history, stuff from their organization, website for the company, LinkedIn for the company, phone numbers, founded year. Lots of stuff that you might want to include, but I'm not bothered for the purposes of an example. Okay, so now I've put them into Airtable. The next stage is to actually contact them. And so for that, we're going to be using reply.io. There's two reasons for that. One is that I got on board with reply.io many years ago, and I have a lifetime license, so it's free for me to use effectively now. Another one is that they have these custom fields. So here, custom fields, add key. So if you come to your, again, this is true for Reply, it's true for Lemlist, true for Woodpecker, all of them. You can go into the settings of your email sender and you can create a custom field. So in this case, I've created a text one called intro. And what I'll map here is the icebreaker, okay? And then also I've mapped a custom one called outro, which will map the email sign off. So that means when I create the email, I just need to put in, double squiggly colon, and then double squiggly colon, outro, double squiggly colon. That's hard to say along. Double squiggly colon. Best regards, George. So that's it. That's all the email in my email campaign will say. It'll just say intro, outro. It automatically pre-fills it with this stuff, and then it's all good to go. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You map the campaign ID to the one in the Airtable. So best practice would be when you're creating a campaign, you create the campaign in, again, reply.io or Lemlist or Woodpecker, and you get the campaign ID. So if I just pull over my reply.io here, you'll see here there is a campaign ID for the sequence 11609000. If I put this into my Airtable here for reply.io campaign, and then I just run this module again very quickly, then I can map it to the reply.io here. I'll map it to the reply campaign. So this will automatically enroll them in the campaign I've created associated with Airtable Portugal. And then it's just a case again of mapping the rest: email, first name, last name, company name, blah, 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 blah. The important thing there is, again, key fields. Intro is icebreaker and outro is, where is the outro? Outro is the email sign off, press OK. And what does that look like in reply.io? So here is an example. This is pointless. Basically, what I have here is hi, intro. I forgot to add in the outro here, but sure. You see it's mapped across for an example. Hi there. Your search for a performance marketing specialist for a B2B/SaaS contacts caught my attention, especially since you're utilizing tools like Make and Airtable, which are right up my alley. While my services aren't a direct fit for the job, I specialize in helping companies like CoverFlex to further enhance the market. Blah, 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 blah. Again, I've missed out the hashtag outro bit here because I was setting this up in a hurry. Many apologies for that. But if I did have it set up, this would also be pre-filled with information. So I'd leave a break line here, and then the outro would come in, and then best regards, George. So the email works perfectly. I don't want anyone else to go into this email. I don't want to accidentally send anybody. So I'm just going to unlink this final part. I'm going to run this all at once to see what the end result is. So we've gone to Airtable, and this is what we're looking at here. We've got the search field for the RSS feed. And once again, remember, you just make a normal search on Indeed for anything in keywords, location, and all you do is in the URL, change jobs to RSS, copy paste that into your Airtable. It turns into an RSS feed. The RSS feed will try and find any jobs related to that. So here we have CoverFlex, we have million dollar sellers, we have Paradox. The next stage is a text parser, which is simply just getting the name of the company. After that, we have a HTTP request, which essentially is looking at the job page itself to get information about just the job description, job responsibilities, job requirements, all of that boring shit. Then we have a text parser, which is essentially just turning all of that HTML data into text. If you wanted to, you could add another text parser and ask it just to get rid of this top header bit. It's not really worth the effort in my opinion, but you can do it, doesn't matter. Next is the chat GPT. What we will need it to do here is the most crucial part. We need to explain clearly who we are. Okay, so again, this in itself could be a variable field in Airtable as well. So if you're an agency running campaigns for multiple people, you might have a column here called prompt. And in that prompt, you would write, my name is George. I run an automation agency that helps companies to automate large parts of the marketing and sales operations. And then for another company, it might say, hi, my name is Jeff, and I run a car wash in Mozambique. And then that would get put in instead. You would just map it to the field here on the right in Airtable. So again, this can be totally dynamic too. I'm not an agency, so I haven't gone to that step. But still, my name is George. I run an automation agency to help companies to automate large parts of the marketing and sales operations. This is what I do. These are my skills. This is what I need you to do for me, which in my case is assess the job description to see if I should contact them for other services. And I'm being very clear, I'm not applying for a job. I give it the steps of instructions that I want. So decide if it's a good match, tell me to go ahead, give me a justification, give me an icebreaker, give me an outro to the email. I give it some examples for it to draw on to create these intros. Again, I've only put in 3. You could put in like 20 if you want, doesn't matter. Giving it some general skills I have. Again, the more detailed you are, the better the result will be. And then some extra notes. So here I've put in, I'm not applying for a job. You can, if you're a headhunter, for example, you might want to put in, if job description says no headhunters, then don't bother applying. This will be very specific to your needs, the kind of work you're comfortable doing, the kind of companies you're comfortable reaching out to. Then we tell it the format of the outro we want. So we want a JSON, go ahead, justification, icebreaker, email sign off. Again, I always add this, never deviate from the JSON. Don't write anything outside the first and the last squiggly bracket. Don't write apostrophe JSON before. Sometimes it does that, it's very annoying. And general instructions for the email, keep the email short and direct, a little intriguing. Use one question. Again, change this to how your outbound works. You give it a couple of examples as a user. Then you give it example output as a system. You can do that as many times as you want. And then the very final message will be the actual information you want it to analyze. So once that's done, we have an example here The text parser will turn this JSON string into like a variable field output so we can map it easier. So cover flex is good. Don't bother. Why don't bother? The job description is focused on a sales executive role. So don't bother. It's not useful to me. Great stuff. Don't bother. This job is French fluent, which is not aligned with your automation. Yeah, okay. So again, that's cool. It means I can, when I go back and improve this, I'll just tell it, yeah, just English or Portuguese. Anything else, don't care. Otherwise it can just fake it. So the JSON does its work. We have a filter that tells it, I only want you to deal with the stuff that says go ahead. Did I do that right? No, I did this wrong. So the filter is equal to go ahead. Idiot. So filter is equal to go ahead. Then it will find the people. We'd make an API call to Apollo to essentially search for that company name, for job titles, seniorities, functions we're interested in. It gives us a whole bunch of people. We use Prospeo, get prospect, any kind of tool to use that information to get valid email addresses. Those go into an Airtable before finally going into an email. So again, I really hope you like this video. If you do, check out my Gumroad. This product is up for sale. I'm also going to add it to my course and add it to my bundle of all my automations. Yeah, if you want to talk, just reach out to me by email, george@upfish.co, or through my Tidy Cow page, which should be in the bio. So check the writing, the bio, the description, whatever. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your cousins. Peace out.